How unfortunate do things actually get? Now, as I've said before, negative reality acknowledgement is very practical and applied for people who actually still want to be positive and intelligible about how they go about that. Because it connects you to the real self, both future, past, and present, whatever else. But how unfortunate do things really actually get? Do not worry so much about people who get compromised against their will, so to speak, or even don't even have the choice after their whatever happened to them. Not only because you have a choice of your own to make, in any essence of that, but you do not want to have to concern yourself with things that, for all we ever could ever know, isn't really what it looks like. And even if it is what it looks like, it doesn't have to be that way, anyways. People who literally get killed off, who get imprisoned, who do not keep their jobs or their career or stay in school, all the bad things can happen to somebody. Getting in a coma, getting in a train wreck. I made that example quite a bit for some reason. Not projecting anything, hopefully. Do we think that's unfair? You'll hear a lot of times in life that everything happens for a reason, and whether you believe in an inherent reason or an alternative conjecture of what you use as the reason you make up for yourself, whatever you believe in, there's nothing like having an applied lesson from what happened, even if it was only bad. And I'm still working on this myself. I applied a lesson from out of several. I'm still working on this from the romantic end of things, like some of the ex crushes I had, how down that can get, of people who I've used to like have feelings for, girls and women, where I've actually applied lessons about those traumas and those karmic bonds, and saw it through that I had gratitude from those happening, as unfortunate as those could be. But I'm going to give you the message right now that it's not that you don't know how to recover from something that could only be bad. You need to make an effort to try anyways. I think because if you apply these lessons to know, not even what I'm saying, maybe, but the things that happen to be as bad as they look when they literally happen are not the end all be all. But I do want to delve a little bit more into this because I have 9 minutes for this recording. I didn't want to stop too early, as I usually did for the last three videos. I did an hour. Sorry, notifications. But well, in Dante's Inferno, the Rings of Fire, Hell, the book, whatever. There was actually I have a relative who went into this a little bit, where there's a circle where you enter in and you're supposed to give up all hope because the part of it that lets you move forward is enabling the acceptance of what could be inevitable or could not be possible to overcome if you did not actually literally give up. And that doesn't mean you go on that path. It just means you surrender control over something they may not have control over. There's a bit of a disingenuous connection with that I have personally because of my gripes of my own understanding and perspective of life. But for the most part, that's kind of accurate. It's like you don't want to literally go on the path from every connection completely, but you're not the connections that you only are for yourself. I think it's just, like when people say you're not your thoughts. I do like to look into that sometimes. I even believe it to an extent, but for the most part, giving up on yourself doesn't mean you necessarily give up on the path. But I was someone who did not give up on myself regardless, even if it looked like that. And the thing with unfortunate circumstances is that I don't think anyone goes into life thinking that life is impossible to deal with. But whatever lessons you apply to be grateful for, you do realize that these things can really suck. these the things that we go through, whether we actually needed, had, or want to control, which I still don't think that at all. I think that we don't need or have or want control, and that's still a really, really good thing. But beyond belief. But things still suck, don't they? They like some things that you don't want to have happen. Sometimes we have a conjecture. They say in social psychology that, or sociology maybe, that there's the ideal self and the actual self. I was the kind of person who had a bunch of actual selves, which means I just have a collective ideal self in a range. So it's you can't have an infinite number of actual selves. You can only have one actual self, and those are all ideals if you think otherwise, in my opinion, from my understanding of that. But what's it like to think that you surely have a reality that you can compromise with and negotiate and understand and fathom and acknowledge, and it still isn't the reality? And it's like, this surely should work because it's realistic and comparable. It's doable. It's still hard, but it's still worth it, and it doesn't happen anyways. We've all been there, and it's quite terrible. But negative reality is not about literally being pessimistic for no goddamn reason. It's about accepting the parts of life that can still suck, even if you still choose to be a positive person without necessarily needing to overkill it. But you have to accept that some things are going to suck the way that they will. As much as they'll still happen for a reason, thankfully, as much as they still have beautiful ways of connecting you to yourself in the future that you could not have imagined getting to. You couldn't plan a route to that future self. You couldn't find a way to know that you're looking back from that person and being very, very much thankful that this all happened, even though that's kind of the point. You want to believe that too. You do want to be able to visualize that. You're not someone who looks at the future and is like, well, there's no way I look at this now and say this is good. Maybe it wasn't good, but don't be hard on yourself even then. I say ahead of that you are actually looking at the past and being thankful for what happening, even if it wasn't worth it, because it connects you to that future self regardless. I dare you guys to be able to look at that future self, looking back to your current self, being thankful no matter what kind of BS you had to put up with, no matter what you had to lose, no matter what you did not want to have to lose, no matter who's here or who isn't here, no matter who's with you or who you lost. You need to connect to that self from here. And sometimes even the good things can suck, because sometimes we have good things that we don't want. We have there's a little shame in that, but we've been there as well. We have good things that are put in a very awkward, wicked way. We have good things that are gained in a wicked way. We have good things that are maintained in a wicked way. Stuff like that. But that could be another video. I'm just here to talk about the things that can suck, even if we don't want to accept that, or even if we do accept that, it's still real. But life, as beautiful as it already is, gives us a lot of those unconventional circumstances. And I'm not going to sit on this chair all day. Okay, the video is maybe something else, but I'm not going to sit on this chair and say that it was easy for me to be calm and steady with what I learned in my life, even as a 26-year-old kid and still very much a man. But it's very, very peculiar to accept anything that happens to you, still be able to push through no matter how specific it is what you went through. One of the best things we have as people on this earth, spiritual beings, whatever you want to call it, is we are very good at being tact and stoic with our circumstances. We're not neglecting and canceling everything that happens to us as if it doesn't matter. It has weight where it's due if it needs to be, if even at all. It doesn't have to be like that anyways, either way. You can give it the meaning you chose to give it, whether it has inherent meaning or not. But even more than that, you're not neglecting or throwing out and canceling the things that happen to you. You're acknowledging that they're there without giving them the weight that doesn't not actually literally be needing warranted. There's no literal warranting for something happening to you or for you. Not even for you. If it's a good thing that you didn't want, it's okay. But the things that suck are not just that. The things that you have, you don't have to be grateful for them. But particularly, you're going to want to understand that going into a reality can still very much be anything you imagine to be.